proud. Nice one-room office. Now you have notice this office nicely equipped. There are a few things that have not been put in quite yet. There's a nice desk made of mahogany, beautiful file cabinet, safe, picture of Mom, and of course there are a few people in the scene, the police car outside. Let me give you the details of this particular case. United States versus Rabinowitz. A man named Rabinowitz was charged with the crime of altering postage stamps with the intent to defraud stamp collectors, meaning he was changing the postage stamps and he was selling the postage stamps for something other than what they were. He was arrested at his office with a proper arrest warrant. And here's Rabinowitz. You see his hands are up. All right? They had an arrest warrant. But then the police, without a search warrant, then searched his one-room office, including that fine desk I was telling you about, going through all of his personal effects, drawers, etc., his file cabinet, and his safe. It's in the safe where they found the forged stamps. Rabinowitz was found guilty, convicted, with the evidence obtained by the police. Now, Rabinowitz, in appealing this case, contended that the police had conducted an illegal search and seizure of those forged stamps. And as you've already learned, if the police do conduct an unreasonable search and seizure, whatever evidence they gain may not be used in a court of law. The question before the Supreme Court is this: was this unreasonable search and seizure under the Fourth Amendment? You may begin your deliberations and please let me know when you have reached a decision.
Well, if you have an arrest warrant for a person, can you search them?
So they can't. You're saying they can't.
Do you have an arrest warrant to arrest somebody?
Well, I don't want to give you a lot of hints tonight. I want you to explore this yourself. You're the Supreme Court.
No, my I don't know, then we can't decide.
You decide based on what you think is reasonable. They'd have all kinds of arrest warrants.
Max, wake up to their
Arrest warrant.
Oh, dude.
They had an arrest warrant.
Joel, is that really on? Like the taping? What do you think?
Let's pay attention.
Well, maybe you should have it.
Don't worry about it.
And no warrants shall issue.
No.
But
You want to do what? No.
yeah, but they went in there. They didn't know. They went in there to arrest him. No, they searched. See, in the first order, anybody have
I just know what I see. I see.
It's getting a little bit of group activity here.
They're looking, they're getting a guy.
He just wants to arrest. Because if they got arrested, Joel, what did you say?
I say yes.
Joel says yes.
If you want to vote, you go. I'll just.
I met with him. I met with him.
Okay.
No, I don't know. I just go on by what the pictures look like.
But it's colored.
No, it's asking was this unreasonable?
You're saying yes?
Yes or no?
You're saying yes?
Or you're saying no?
Yes or no?
Why do you say that? Why do you say yes? I say yes. Because all the other ones, like, I don't know.
Can I look around?
Huh?
Can I look around?
Just said you were going to say.
No, why not?
At the end.
Me?
What
But I answered it.
No, they're asking, was this an unreasonable search and seizure under the Fourth Amendment? No.
What do you think?
No, that means it wasn't reasonable.
Don't get out of here.
Oh, it means it.
Get out of here.
The light has to be flashed before the
It
end.
says, was this unreasonable search?
Are you
Is it
Are you filming? Joel, are you filming? No,
Okay.
They already say it's unreasonable. They want to know if it's unreasonable.
Well, we'll find
Hey,
out.
George, over here. George.
Yes, they can.
Is the speaker plugged in?
Do you know what the
All right.
You're not filming.
All right. I'm under the impression that most of you agree to the decision. Is that correct? Group one?
oh yeah.
All right. Take a vote. Group two, you ready? Group three, you're ready? Group four?
Let's film.
I did that one too. We're ready.
Was it unreasonable? You said no. Well, that's part of the analysis. Okay. All right. How are we? We'll start with group then. Group three, we'll start with you first. Thank you. Now, let's go ahead and get started. You understand the situation. Rabinowitz has been charged with the crime of altering postal stamps. The police had a proper arrest warrant. They arrested Rabinowitz at his office, and then, without a search warrant, decided to go ahead and search his one-room office, including desk, file cabinet, and safe, where they found the forged stamps. It was those forged stamps that proved that he had indeed committed a crime. The question before you, was this unreasonable search and seizure under the Fourth Amendment? Supreme Court number one, what's your view? Unanimous? No. Tell us why you believe this was not unreasonable search and seizure under Fourth Amendment.
Because they have that right to go in. If the guy's already arrested, they have that right to go in and go through his file cabinet to find out if he was supposed to really be arrested.
Why? I mean, what makes it so reasonable? I mean, they had an arrest warrant. Why did they get a search warrant at the same time, if you think it was so reasonable?
Because he has already been accused of stealing or doing the stamp. So if he's already arrested, why should they already have a search warrant for that?
Okay. Well, it would be hard to get a search warrant. It would be very easy. But you think in this case, then, after the arrest, going into his private desk, his own file cabinet, and his safe constituted a reasonable search under the Fourth Amendment. All right, Supreme Court number two.
Unanimous, no.
Another unanimous no. Why?
Let's see if we have this right. Is it unanimous no that it's not violating the Fourth Amendment?
That's correct.
Okay, because in that one that we did right there, you said that it was unreasonable to search Agnello's house but not Alba's house because they were arrested at Alba's house. He was arrested in his office, and that was the scene of the crime. So they
Okay.
couldn't search it.
So you're basing your decision in part on the Agnello case. The fact that the search of Agnello's home was not incidental to the arrest. Meaning the arrest took place at Alba's, but the search was at Agnello's. You're saying that where a person's arrested, he or she may be searched for the immediate premises. Does that include going inside personal things such as a safe, a file cabinet, and a desk?
Well, the office is personal.
Part of the office.
It's part of the office. Why would it not have been reasonable for the police to pick up a search warrant while they were getting the arrest warrant?
Because it would take time to get a search warrant.
He would have been able to get rid of the stamps or something.
Well, he was under arrest. They took him off.
Could have told him.
He's gone.
Somebody else could have known about it, and they could have got rid of him.
All right. Bottom line is, you just think it's reasonable for the police then to go ahead and search the office after the arrest. Okay, Supreme Court number 3.
3 yes, 2 no's.
All right, now we have a little disagreement. Who are the 3 that say, yes, this was unreasonable search and seizure? 1, 2, 3. All right, gentlemen, tell us why you think this was unreasonable search and seizure.
Because I don't want you to ask me.
You're supposed to get a search warrant before you search someone's house and all that.
Well, not necessarily. Doesn't the Fourth Amendment say, Jeremy, that people have the right?
Yeah?
Is there something you need?
I was wondering, like, Mr. Grayson be down, like, is he filming?
Yeah, do you want to?
No, I'm saying. Let me see something. You're not filming that? Oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, well, not.
What, do you want to do this?
No. You just
Oh.
wanted to make sure you guys had them.
We're all set. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, back to our original question. Jeremy, you're saying that they have to have a search warrant to search a home. Does the Fourth Amendment say that you need to be sure that the search is reasonable,
Yeah.
not necessarily getting a search warrant?
But who are the police who say that, oh, okay, that's reasonable?
Well, they had an arrest warrant.
But that's
So
not
what?
a search
That's
warrant.
not a search warrant. It would.
They can
They can
stay in the
search
office and have
You
one guy go get a
arrested
warrant.
if They search you.
Yeah, but they can't search your
That's
house or
personal,
nothing.
more personal than
All
off.
right?
Yeah,
So you're saying nevertheless, they should have picked up
Yeah.
a search warrant at the time they picked up the arrest warrant.
Yeah.
That this was unreasonable, going through his personal effect at the scene where the arrest is made.
Yeah.
All right, now we have a couple of people disagreeing. Why?
I think it was reasonable because to get an arrest warrant, you have to have a reasonable cause.
That's correct.
So that means to search their house, but it should have been reasonable.
All right.
Well, I don't understand that. I don't understand why they didn't just get a search warrant.
Well, that's part of the question here. Wouldn't it have been easy to pick up a search warrant?
Yeah.
So
They could have got a search warrant and an arrest warrant. So they
I
got
guess the question
But how
is,
come they didn't? Because that's not the question. They're asking if it was a reasonable search and seizure. They didn't ask if they should have gotten a search warrant or not.
that's right. Question is this a reasonable search and seizure?
Yeah.
All right. Maybe it's not the question of whether it would have been reasonable to get the search warrant. All right, let's go on. How about group number 4?
2 yeses.
4 no's, 2 yeses. Who are the 4 that say, no, this was not unreasonable?
That's 4 and
No, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna say no.
So who's dissenting then?
yes.
Okay, so
I
final one.
always said it's.
Let's hear from the majority. Why do a majority of you believe that no, this
Because if they're
was...
if they're already in the office and I mean, the guy's arrested, I think they have the right to go and check his things, like to look for the stamps because the guy should have them. I mean, I guess it just doesn't really matter.
You just think it doesn't matter. They have the arrest warrant. So
Yeah.
for the police to go through and look at this guy's personal desk and personal belongings there, open his file cabinet with personal files and, you know, things that may not even involve court stamps, and going into the safe where they have valuable coins and other. You have no problem with the police doing that. Okay.
That is even personal.
It's reasonable to go through it. All right.
They must know that he already has committed a crime, so they don't need to search his house unless they're gonna. So maybe I should arrest him. They should have got a search warrant to even take the stamps and destroy them that he had forged.
Okay, so you're just saying the police should have got a search warrant?
Yeah. And they didn't have the right to search his house because they didn't have a search warrant.
You have to have a search warrant to search someone's house?
Unless
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
reasonable, like, I can't say it. Okay. I know what you said. Reasonable cause, that's it.
Unless you have reason. That's right, because the fact is, you do not need a search warrant to search a person's home if you have, or if you conduct a reasonable search, or have a reason to conduct the search. What you're arguing is they did not have good reason to conduct the search. Search was not reasonable.
How'd they get into a safe? I don't know, I guess they must have reason then, because if they already knew that he was gonna be arrested, they got an arrest warrant, so they must know that he got the stamps.
All right, well, they had reason. But now the question is, was it reasonable?
Mr. Carter.
Yeah,
How'd they get into the safe?
they had it right.
How'd they do it? They
Well, they don't have to-
Blew it up.
They pop open.
How would they know that person's combination?
They
The
asked
person could have told
The
them.
guy has the right not to speak.
So-
what, maybe he didn't
How do
use
you know he used that right, Aaron?
What?
Were you there? Did you watch him say, I'm not going to speak? Sit there.
No,
I'm going through this phase. Not the boy, would you?
So maybe you didn't need to remain silent. How would you know?
Okay.
No, papers burn.
You heard both sides.
I'm right, I'm gonna be so fast.
The question before the Supreme Court is this question: was that an unreasonable search and seizure under the Fourth Amendment? Now, we have 1, 2, 3 groups saying no, it was not unreasonable. We have one group saying, indeed, yes, it was. 2, 3. You agree to vote? One person could change his mind.
I want to change my mind.
You want to go to the other side?
I want to go to no.
You want to go to no. Why did you want to change your mind?
Well, what all the other groups said was
Huh?
change,
I want
change,
Talk into the microphone,
change
Joel.
my mind.
I want you to say it. Why did you change your mind?
Because
Well, they were there already, so
They were there already, so why
and
not go?
they went and got an arrest warrant. And why don't they
Alright,
just?
that puts all groups on the same side. Which means you all either get a point or you don't. Is that right?
Right. Uh-huh.
You've thought of both sides very carefully.
Yep.
All right, I must tell you that this case, it was a unanimous decision. The Supreme Court had no doubt in its mind about whether this was unreasonable search procedure.
It is
The change. Yes. No. You change your vote.
Oh, man.
Do I hear you?
Change your bill.
Any last minute changes?
Change. I know they want you to change.
Group 3, one person can change your vote, you can be on the other side again.
Change his
I'm gonna
vote.
change our vote.
He wants his vote changed.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's the decision of the United States Supreme Court. Did the search of the house of Agnello and the seizure, oh, that's Agnello, okay. Sorry, let's get the other one.
I was going,
Rabinowitz, U.S. Oh, I knew this was a closer decision. It was a 5-3 decision. Okay.
Wait.
5-3, meaning there were good issues on both sides. That's a close decision.
Go away.
Was this unreasonable search and seizure under the Fourth Amendment?
yes.
Go away, man.
The decision?
Yes.
Oh.
No. You all got the point. All right, listen carefully to the reasoning. This is what shows up on your test. You're free to take notes, mental or otherwise. The Fourth Amendment.
Whoa. You look like Gidget. Eric, what do you got to do? You look like Gidget.
Still waiting. Those people who aren't moved. Thank you. Well, some of you want to move. Sorry. Fourth Amendment says that the public is free from an unreasonable search. When there was an arrest warrant, and it was a proper arrest warrant, the Supreme Court ruled that it was reasonable for the police officers to search the small business room, even if they had time to get a search warrant. I quote, "The relevant test is not whether it's reasonable to get a search warrant, but whether the search was reasonable." All right? I'll repeat it. Was the consideration whether it was reasonable to get a search warrant, but whether the search was reasonable. And of course, the criteria depends on the facts at hand. Some of you may recall vividly, and I think there was reference to it, In the Agnello case, prime example. In their case, they searched Agnello's home that was several blocks distant from where the arrest was made. And that search and seizure of the narcotics was held to be a violation of the Fourth Amendment. In the Agnello case, the Supreme Court made it very clear that that situation would have been much different if they had conducted a search and a seizure of narcotics incidental to the arrest, i.e. at Alba's place. So actually, the Agnello's case, if you listen carefully to what the Supreme Court said, would have helped you answer the United States versus Virginia. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen very, very carefully to this one. There are many points at stake. Decided in 1966. Here's the situation. Armando Schmerber had been convicted, being found guilty, of driving an automobile while under the influence of intoxicating liquor. He had been arrested at a hospital while receiving treatment for injuries suffered in an accident involving the automobile he apparently had been driving. Under police direction, a blood sample was taken from Schmerber by a physician at the hospital. This was done despite Schmerber's protests. Analysis of the blood sample indicated that he was indeed intoxicated, and it was that report that was admitted as evidence at the trial. Now, Schmerber contended that his constitutional rights had been violated. You have 3 questions to answer. Each question is worth 1 point. 1. Does taking a blood sample under these circumstances violate the defendant's right against self-incrimination? Self-incrimination means testifying against yourself. That's a Fifth Amendment violation. Number 2. Does it deny the defendant the right to counsel? That is, the right to have an attorney. Because the evidence was gained from him, he contends, without having legal counsel available to advise him. And 3, does it constitute unreasonable search and seizure in violation of the Fourth Amendment? 3 questions, 3 points. Please let me know when your group is ready to begin.
Do you answer all the questions together?
I'll say yes, yes, and yes.
Do you want to do this? Carter. Want to take over?
I'll just do it. I'll take over. It's still right. It's still I know that's like saying if you're sick.
To zoom in, press this, which makes it closer, and that makes it wider and farther away.
It says in the Constitution you have rights and freedoms. What's the last one?
For the second one,
It's just like
not independent as much as possible.
If they have any, you can go
Yes, yes, yes. All 3.
I say no. You don't write on those papers.
Okay, waiting for the
No.
That's not the question, though.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't write on it. Just looked that way. I was just chilling.
Everybody has to write that.
And attorney.
Yes.
I know, but if you
Also, you can get your license, you have to sign the bottom saying that they can take any sort of test, right?
So am I arrest you for probably not, but indecency. We had a big huge.
For the first one, that's the taking out the blood sample. Yeah, because they can't take the blood without it could be for their business purposes, and he wouldn't want it taken.
That's when they bring the right to me.
What if he hasn't decommitted? I guess he wouldn't want to go ahead.
Still, they can't take his blood without taking
No, it was last year.
They didn't have.
Kari! Kari!
Right here, you zoom in.
Where?
Yeah, I went.
There's two buttons. This zooms in, and that zooms out.
Okay. Kari! Kari, I zoomed you in. Is it running right now?
Yeah.
Kari! Kari, would you like to make a statement?
The car could have wrecked.
Don't.
Somebody else could have got out.
Jeremy? Have a seat, please. Eric? Have a seat. Thank you.
Do I get to tape?
You? Have a seat. Help your group out.
And then for the second one, they didn't let him have a lawyer. So then that
Well,
was.
it's not that they didn't let him have one. He didn't have counsel there because of the circumstances.
They didn't give him a chance to have counsel.
No, he took the blood and did all those things before he had
That was definitely.
I got all your great drawings on there.
may or may not. We're not making
Number 3, Deshaun, that we with him, he searched.
yes, his blood.
I know, but were they searching any other, I mean, it's just,
You gotta ask
the
for
search of his
what
blood was, but they searched.
They say they took some
Stuff, and that was good.
No, no, no.
Okay, is that good?
Because
That was the first question.
Are you reaching this? Group one? All right, then, we're ready to begin.
Joel, we're just enjoying it.
Lori?
The question before the Supreme Court deals with 3 fundamental questions. Does taking the blood sample under these circumstances violate the defendant's right against self-incrimination, the right not to testify against himself? Does it deny the defendant the right to counsel, since the evidence was taken from him without the ability to consult counsel? That would be a violation under the 14th Amendment, Equal Protection Clause, as well as the 5th Amendment, the right to counsel. And 5th, constitute unreasonable search and seizure. Each of those questions has a yes or no answer. All right?
Yes.
Starting with Supreme Court number 3,
No.
how do you answer each question and provide both?
I understand that.
Okay, for the first question, we wrote 1 yes and 4 no's.
All right, so majority says no. Second case, question?
3 yes and 2 no's.
All right.
And then for the third one, 1 yes and 4 no.
All right, now, would you briefly outline the majority opinion for each?
Go ahead, Joyce.
Well, I mean, a breathalyzer test is, that's incriminating yourself. They take blood tests at the police station. Not my reasons.
Well, I'm not, yeah, but let me back off. I'm not so much interested in what you perceive is done based upon your own experience. I'm interested in what the law is. Does this constitute unreasonable search and seizure under the Fourth Amendment? Yes.
They have the right to take your blood just to see if you really have, like the intoxication or the alcohol in your blood and stuff.
Why?
So they can find out if you're drunk and how much you had in you.
What makes that so reasonable? I mean, isn't it? Shouldn't they get a search warrant?
Oh, yeah.
Well, but that's when it wouldn't be.
Yeah, they should.
Okay, so you're saying that they needed to get the blood sample right away because otherwise maybe the alcohol would have dissipated. All right. What about the self-incrimination aspect? I mean, you've answered for question number 1, no, that doesn't constitute self-incrimination, but this blood is testifying against him, is it not? Is that self-incriminating?
Well, if he didn't drink it, he wouldn't care if they took his blood or not.
He was drunk. He would remember.
The Fifth Amendment says, you shall have the right not to be a witness against yourself. Is not his blood being, in essence, a witness against him? Is he not being forced to testify against himself?
They already know he's drunk. They're saying how much.
No, they don't know he's drunk. They need to get evidence.
And that's what I got.
You're not sure.
I was a dissent.
Andrea?
I was a dissent.
Tell us why you dissent.
Because they didn't arrest him in his car. They didn't see him drive, so they couldn't tell if he was driving. I mean, there was an accident, but they didn't know that he was driving drunk until he got to the hospital, and they took his blood and found that he had been drinking. But they didn't see him driving, and they didn't arrest him at the scene of the accident. So I think that they shouldn't have. I think it was unreasonable search and seizure.
Well, what if they... Go ahead.
Because they didn't see him. They didn't see him driving, so they wouldn't know.
Well, what if when they pulled him out of this automobile accident, they could smell some alcohol? Would that give good enough reason to think that perhaps he had been drinking?
Yeah, but that wasn't the
He could have
point.
adhered to the car and gotten the wreck.
Yeah. But they thought so they could have arrested him then, and then took him to the hospital.
But if you suspect something, you need evidence to support that. There must have been some suspicion that he had been drinking, and that's what required caused the police to ask for a blood sample. Does that sound pretty reasonable to you?
No, because he didn't have an attorney there.
All right,
So you
so
couldn't
that's
ask
no
for
attorney.
advice. I mean, he could have been real stupid and didn't know any of his rights.
All right. Any other comments on any other question for you? All right, Supreme Court 4.
It's 1, 2, 3. We have 5 yes and 1 no.
So you're saying in each of these cases, he was 1,
Yes. There's 4 no's, or 4 yeses and 2 no's.
You're a no.
okay, well, let's get it down now.
Doesn't change the vote any.
All right, in these cases, you believe that his rights against self-incrimination were violated, his rights to counsel were violated, and his rights against unreasonable search and seizure were violated. Yeah, majority, right? Who are the 4 in the majority? 1, 2, 3. Who's the 4th? 4. Okay, why? Why do you believe his rights were being violated?
They didn't, it was him that they were searching, and they didn't have a warrant to search him, and they had reasonable cause, or proof, or evidence, or whatever against him, but they still can't search him unless they have his consent, and he also didn't have a lawyer present, and so it violates that one. And
Well, what about the argument brought up here by Group 3 that if they had gained the blood or drawn the blood from him, maybe the evidence would have been destroyed?
They could have got a warrant by the time that, because he was that intoxicated, and his it's not gonna wear off for a couple hours.
But don't you want to get the evidence as fresh and as soon as possible? Even an hour delay is going to have some effect on the blood sample.
You want to, but you can't search them without a warrant. That's
Now
not,
hold it, is the question, can you not search a person without a warrant?
if you have a reasonable cause, but they didn't.
You don't think that, why you believe they did not have reasonable cause?
Because there could have been a beer in the car.
This guy's been involved in an accident.
Yeah, but they don't know he was driving.
They suspect he was driving, and they suspected that he was under the influence of intoxicating liquor.
They could have him take a breathalyzer test.
He was hurt.
Well, this is back in 1966. They may not have had breathalyzers like this.
They could have had him breathe. They still should have got a warrant.
Still should have got a warrant. How about the issue of the blood sample being self-incriminating? You're answering no, that yes, that his rights were violated. How does blood testify against you anyway? You ever see some blood talk?
Yeah, because, okay, your blood has the alcohol in it.
Yes.
And if they get that from you, then you're incriminating yourself because they have the alcohol in it, and that's right there saying that
All right. Yeah, the blood just stands up and says, hey, I'm X% alcohol, right?
the blood doesn't, but the guy that tests the blood does. Hey.
All right. But that's not the blood. All right, who dissents? You two? Why?
Because
Because she wants the original.
well, I think that like they should have taken blood because I mean he could get up like walk around like take like a walk and make some walk and stuff like put your head back touch your stuff and I don't think they had breathalyzers back then. And so if he was injured, so he could get up and walk around and do that stuff. That's the most reasonable way they could do that. And because the guy was guilty of it, I mean he deserved to.
Well, he wasn't guilty.
Yes, he was. He was not guilty.
You're innocent until proven guilty. They
No,
were
he
trying
was
to-
really guilty.
He was. But until that court trial, he's innocent, right?
No, they couldn't wait until then.
Okay, they couldn't wait, right? They had to get the evidence right away of the charge. But what about the
Then he would have gotten off scot-free.
All right, what about the self-incrimination issue? I mean, here this man's being forced to have his blood testify against him. Don't you think that's unreasonable?
No.
Why not?
Because he was guilty.
They don't know that yet.
They don't know that yet. When they took the blood, they only suspected.
Well, if he were to be guilty, then there would be no problem.
Anyone else? All right, Supreme Court won. No, okay? Sound quiet.
I put the cap on it.
So it's unanimous, right?
Yeah, unanimous.
All right. Now, in each of these cases, the majority has ruled that this person's rights were not violated. Why? Take them one at a time if you like, and the rest of you, please listen. Go ahead.
Because he had already been accused of, well, he had already been proven guilty. And so,
No, he already did what?
wasn't he guilty? No. Okay.
He's not guilty until the jury says, boom, you're guilty.
Okay,
Right now, he's just in the hospital. He's been in an accident.
okay, well, they have to find out if he was drunk or not.
All right?
To see if he was the main cause of the accident. And then that would be given proof to the trial.
Uh-huh. So you think it was reasonable
Yeah.
for the police to conduct the search of his blood, taking his blood out of him, very personal thing, blood is, and searching it and seizing it. Without a warrant.
Find out if he was drunk or not.
All right? But the blood testified against him, didn't it? You're saying no. Is that true? The blood testified against him?
Yep.
And is it not true that people have the right to not testify against themselves?
Right, they try, but the police have that right to find out if he was intoxicated or not.
think it's right? What if I came up to you and you were on trial, and I took your arm and I twisted it, and I said, tell me the truth. Tell me that you did the crime. You'd be forced to testify against yourself, right?
Yes, but that never
If I threatened you,
No.
what difference is between that and taking you guys' blood sample, which shows that he's guilty? He's testifying against himself, isn't he? Yes, but you still say no. There's got to be a missing link. Yeah? You don't have to be forced to testify against yourself. He's saying, hey, I had no choice. One that testified against me. We don't know that. All right. Supreme Court 2.
Unanimous, yes, no.
Yes?
Hi, Mom.
Yes? No. All right. Give us your reasons why you believe that the blood sample did serve as incriminating evidence. And he was, in essence, I guess, testifying against himself. And why he was denied the right to counsel.
Because the first one in that Fifth Amendment, it says that no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself or without due process of law or private property be taken for public use without compensation. And he didn't have a lawyer or anything present while they were taking blood or anything. And it was violation.
So you think those are totally unreasonable? So you believe that blood testified against himself. Isn't blood nothing more than just evidence?
Yes, but it testifies against him.
It does that. It stands up as I, blood. Hereby testify against William Sherwood. He drank too much. All right. Don't you think it would have been unreasonable to wait for him to get counsel because the evidence might have been destroyed by then?
Yeah.
What about the last issue? You said no, it wasn't unreasonable search and seizure. Why not? I mean, you answered everything else as being unreasonable.
Because when you're arrested, you say your rights, but you still can be searched, like personal search.
Even to the point of taking a needle and putting it into somebody, seizing the blood, and then searching it. You think that in this case is...
Isn't that a little dramatization? I mean, all they're doing is taking blood out of them.
Yeah.
All right, any changes to the mind? Got 3 points? Yes. Okay, group 1, where are you at? This one?
Yeah.
So you make it, what, 4-1? You're saying yes.
It doesn't change the voting anyway.
Doesn't change the majority, that's all right. Give people
It's
on
his
record.
opinion.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me answer the 3 questions for you. And hold on, because we're going to ask people to get the point. The Supreme Court, in a 5-4 ruling, says no.
Do we win?
Does or has the defendant been denied the right to counsel? In a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court says no. And the last question, does it constitute unreasonable search and seizure? In a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court said no. Okay, I'm not good.
Okay, from now on, whenever I say you guys can give me
I see. Every time I have an interruption, it takes time for me. I have my lessons planned, right to the minute. Now, I don't know how much time you want to go for today. Got at least a couple minutes. All right. Here are some of the reasons. Self-incrimination protects an accused person only for being compelled to testify against him or herself. The evidence of a testimonial or a communicative nature. In other words, orally testifying against yourself. In this case, the blood was not testifying against the person. Blood is evidence.
Yeah, but in court cases, sometimes the person doesn't want to testify.
Sit down. Now we're running even further. the accused. In this case, the search and seizure was held to be reasonable. Someone mentioned, I think it was probably group 4, that the percentage of alcohol in the blood begins to diminish shortly after drinking stops. To wait any longer would have constituted an obstruction of the evidence. So in this case, it was warranted to go ahead and take the blood sample in the hospital, which they found to be totally reasonable. The last claim, the right